So, Ben, I do want to start with you because you've been doing so much reporting on this. First off, why March 4th? And then secondly, are you seeing the same chatter online leading up to today as you saw leading up to January 6th?
Okay, so we got to take a step back on March 4th to say why that's the day. So on the days before the 5th and the 6th back in January, QAnon people said this is the day. This is the day that our prophecy comes true. Donald Trump is going to round up all the Democrats. All we got to do is storm the Capitol to start it. So they had an event. They had a big day that was pushed by the president himself. And everything, all the online chatter, all their communities were leading up to that day. Now, that was a big letdown. So it was the 20th when Joe Biden assumed office. They still want to live in reality where Donald Trump remains the president. So they went digging. In the days after the 6th and the days after the 20th, they found March 4th because Sovereign Citizens, which is a 50-year-old conspiracy theory about basically not paying your taxes, evading your taxes. They say that there hasn't been a legitimate government since the 1800s. And when Ulysses S. Grant was inaugurated on March 4th of 1869. So because this is a plausible thing in their world, that this could be a way out of it, make it so Donald Trump could be president again, they chose this date. However, there are no events. There are no protests. It's not the same thing as before the 6th because the president was pushing this stuff before the 6th. He was sort of like a central organizing node in this much larger disinformation campaign. So now in the run up to the 4th, realizing that there's not going to be a big event, there's not going to be a protest, QAnon people have said, hey, this is a false flag. This has been ginned up by the media. This isn't real. And that's what you're hearing today is more excuses for why their guy is not the president anymore.
But let me ask you this. On leading up to January 6th, there was so much talk about what actually was going to happen on January 6th, what people were intending to do. Are you seeing that same focus on March 4th, that same basically laying out of what they want to do today as they did a couple months ago?
Yeah, it's not the same thing. In the run up to the 6th, one of the top posts on probably the largest pro-Trump message board said, confirm Donald Trump or get lynched by patriots. That was their message to Congress. They were taking pictures of their hotel rooms near D.C., of the ammo they had with them in D.C. They were taking pictures of the flights full of people they said were patriots ready to storm the Capitol. They had merch made. They had all these things ready for the 6th. For the 4th, it's very different. These people are very afraid. They're not planning in public anymore, in part because they don't view the feds to be on their side. A lot of QAnon people believe that they were kicking off the revolution. The military would be right behind them. Obviously, that's not the case. They deluded themselves into that, in part because they were trying to decode what the president was saying about him retaining power. So it's not the same thing at all. All of their channels have gone much darker in general. When it comes to planning, all of that stuff has gone to private encrypted apps like Telegram or Signal. And sometimes there's still some things on Parler as well, where you can see people really go for it. But those posts don't last that long. People don't want to be associated with that right now because they don't want to be, they don't want to run amok. They don't want to get a visit by the feds.
Carol, how real is today's threat for law enforcement, for the intel community? Or is this just a CYA moment where they don't want to take any chances at all, given what happened a couple months ago?
Katie, it's such a good question. Our sources at the Washington Post are pretty convinced this is night and day compared to January 6th in terms of the chatter and intel that's coming in about a possible threat on March 4th. But remember the context. The FBI office in Norfolk, in Norfolk on January 5th, right before the attack on the Capitol, had sent up what they thought was routine chatter. Hey, we're noticing some caravans, some people talking about gathering ammunition, some scary chatter about bringing war to the Capitol. And they literally sent it up like a routine email. And as we learned in the testimony yesterday, they didn't even give a phone call to the chief of police or to the chief of police for the Capitol Police, which would have been pretty relevant information if they saw it as important. And so the March 4th date, which is actually quite important to the QAnon conspiracy theorists, has been the subject of chatter, and no one in their right mind is going to want to be hauled up to Congress as defense officials were yesterday to answer why didn't they take that chatter seriously. Remember, the testimony yesterday was pretty galling, a 3 hours and 20-minute wait for the Defense Department to authorize National Guard to come while the Capitol was literally being breached. People were literally flowing in the doors, and the Pentagon still was sort of dithering about whether or not this was going to be very organized and appropriate and optically the best thing, the best military advice for the Defense Department. Nobody wants to go through that again, answering those questions, which were quite painful yesterday.
I totally understand that. Leanne, you've been reporting that the Capitol Police has asked the National Guard to stay on for 2 more months. Nancy Pelosi commented a little bit earlier. You've also been reporting that it's pretty quiet there. So I guess what happens now? Does it become a permanent fortress at the Capitol, or is there even talk of at some point lifting all of the restrictions?
Yeah, Katie, these are discussions that are ongoing, and there's no resolution yet. I'm on the House side of the Capitol complex at this moment, and it's extremely quiet. Speaker Pelosi indicated that she did not cancel session completely because of the security threat. She said it also just made sense that they were able to finish their business yesterday. But it really has disrupted the security threat, the operations of what's happening here, because people are still talking about it. There are multiple investigations that are going on. There's draft reports. There's frustration among lawmakers about the lack of transparency that they're still receiving from Capitol Police on what these security threats are, what the plan is, what they want the plan to be in the future. Now, that's the House side. It's relatively empty here. But on the Senate side, they've taken a different approach just for the day. They're in session. They expect to have a very, very long night regarding this COVID relief bill. Senators are saying they feel relatively safe. But the fact that this is still something that is a constant source of conversation and hearings and investigations on Capitol Hill, and it's still it is a military fortress. There's barbed wire fencing around a massive perimeter of the Capitol. The National Guards are still walking the halls of Congress every day, all day. It's just something that is not going to go away in the near future, it seems, and no one really knows how long this is going to last and what the plan is to get things under control, Katie.
Congressman, let's talk about why things are like this. There have been hearings on Capitol Hill, as we've been discussing, pointing the finger at who was there and why they were there. Yet in the last 2 months since the insurrection, we continue to have prominent Republicans push this idea that it was outside agitators. Ron Johnson is one of those. And we have prominent Republicans, including basically the backbone of the Republican Party right now, CPAC, going out and continuing to push the big lie at their conference the other day. Mike Pence did the same in an op-ed. So what is going on with the Republican Party? Is there a return to normal, or is the Republican Party now just all about this big conspiracy because they think it's benefiting them?
I think the false flag and big lie sort of plays into the narrative for the 2022 midterms. And, I've said this a few times that we could have a real issue, right, with the GOP taking the House back based on the fact that this stop the steal messaging works. And I was listening to Ben a little bit earlier, incredible rundown of why March 4th was important. But I think crazy gets stuck in their own rabbit hole sometimes, and they think the light is that false flag operation, which is what you're seeing with March 4th. But you're seeing that fundraising, and I'm going to be really blunt here. I've talked to members of Congress. I was just there. And the fundraising on this type of language is so good at the grassroots level. I don't see that language going away at all. And when you're looking at some people running, whether it's in Michigan or Texas, they're still spouting this sort of big lie, false flag conspiracy narrative. And when you listen to Ron Johnson, that's just idiotic, right? That's a brain cell issue. Or you're pandering for some kind of fundraising, or you're still some kind of Trumpophile that can't seem to get out of your own way mentally. I just don't see how you can look at the data and say this was some kind of false flag operation. And we released a report on this, and we knew there was a minimum of 7 white nationalist groups that were involved. I'm the chief strategist for the Network Contagion Research Institute, and there's people right now that you're interviewing, like Ben and the others, they absolutely know without a doubt, right, that individuals are going to continue to push this because this is well beyond President Trump now. This has been institutionalized. And this is the fact is that we as a government are not to be trusted. This has gone beyond the messiah of President Trump. And now we're seeing this new rehash of the New World Order coming out. And I got to tell you, I'm not as optimistic as other people that this is going away anytime soon.
You're saying that lawmakers know how good the fundraising is. They're aware of it, and that's why they're continuing to do it, because it's all about raising money for their coffers to continue to hold their seat in Congress, that they're tearing everything down just for the dollars, and that they admit it?
Sure. And this is an answer, right? That when you're talking about getting reelected, you're thinking about short-term memories of voters. You're looking at the fact that you're going to win the next race regardless. So if this is what you want to do, you're going to automatically say, you know what, I'm for election integrity, right? You know, there was some fraud there. The election might have been stolen, but you know, you're going to have this sort of mealy-mouthed messaging, but it's all going to go back to stop the steal, or it's all going to go back to the fact is that President Trump's policies were working. The election was stolen. We need to get that back in 2024. And the three things they're going to run on is election integrity. Are you loyal to President Trump's policy now, and will you support him in 2024? Those are the three things, the biggest questions you're going to have the grassroots asking candidates in these districts.
Question is, how many people will continue to believe it? And if they do continue to believe it and continue to lose, what else are they going to try to do about it? Congressman Denver Riggleman, thanks for joining us and being so blunt. Carol Leonnig, Ben Collins, Leigh Caldwell, thank you guys all for your exquisite reporting.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.